kids, man. Keep on working and exercise, health. All this is all part of life, and it's always something that you always got to keep on working on every day. Every day is going to be your health. It's going to be waking up in the morning, go to job, go to class if you're still trying to get through school. So that's being content, and that's the path that I've taken being a professional boxer. I've always been a fighter. I came out of a high school and I went to college in Delaware on a wrestling scholarship, but I wasn't hungry to be a wrestler. So I ended up dropping out of school and I started working for a couple of years. And I told myself I'm going to make some money. I didn't think I was going to go back to college, but it came to a point, I said, man, I got to go back to school. So I took, a couple of years off, and I went back to school. And I knew education was the key. Nowadays everyone's going to college now. Now it's not just a bachelor's degree, it's a master's degree that people are having. So it took me a little while to finish school, but I finished. And along the way, I started being a professional boxer, and that took a lot of my time. And then also along the way, I had my first child, and then I had a second child, and then I had my fourth child. So and I could have gave up. I could have said, no, I could just be content with I put my time in college, and I didn't finish, but I didn't want to do that. I said, man, I've got to finish school because I know education is the key. And I went back to school and I finished. I got my bachelor's degree in business, and it don't mean nothing that you're going to have a job waiting for you, because it doesn't. You're going to have to work for it. So I can't be content sitting there thinking that anything's going to be handed to me. And boxing is a path that I feel like I'm going to take, not just for myself, but for my Indian people. Because a lot of people out there in the worldwide, they don't recognize, they don't realize that Native American people are prestige, supreme athletes like Jim Thorpe. So when I started this boxing, in my heart and my soul, I knew that I was going to be a good fighter. I knew I was a great fighter, but I had to prove it. I just couldn't say, hey, I'm the best in Lawton, Oklahoma. I'm not the best in Oklahoma. I have to get out there and prove in the world that I'm the best in the world. And that's my objective. It's to have a world title, to be a world champion on top of the middleweight division. And until I go down, that's what I'm gonna keep on going for. Is being a world champion is my goal. And along the path, I said, you don't see Indian athletes on the elite stage. And in boxing, the top of the pyramid is HBO. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna get on HBO, and that's my goal. So when I get on HBO, and when you see me dancing around on HBO, that's when I'm at the top of the mountain for me. But until that point, I've got a long ways. I've got a path ahead of me, and I've got every obstacle in the world in front of me, from raising my kids, from marriage, from working. I've got to pay my bills. And then on top of all this, I still got to train 5 hours a day, on top of working 8 hours a day. So people say, I ain't got time. But you know what? People like yourself are going to learn how to make time. And that's what I've done. I make time. The truth is, if there's a will, there's a way. And that's what I decided, I've got 3 to 4 years in my heart. And I tipped the hourglass over, and I said, all right, when those 3 or 4 years are done, then I'm done with boxing. But I'm not done with keeping on climbing and keeping fighting for Indian people. I'm just done with the boxing part. But until that point, that's what I'm going to do. So I can't be content. And college students, just like yourself, you're getting this education, you're getting skills, you're getting these type of things that are helping you in the work world. When you step foot out there in the white world, you're just another person. You got to work twice as hard, because people look at Native American people different. They don't think that we can accomplish, or me being a country kid in the boxing world, it's the same thing. They say, oh, he's from the Midwest. What can he accomplish? So I've got the odds are stacked against me right now as being a fighter. So I know I've got to work twice as hard, and I've got to make twice that amount of noise, to be recognized as an elite athlete. So the boxing for me is going to be the path that I'm going to take, and it's my way of going down fighting for our people. So you as a student, you're going to have to do that as your own. Everyone's got their own goals, their own objectives, and the biggest thing that I can tell anybody is to keep on dreaming. Because I was a little bitty kid, and I didn't know what it was that I was going to go for, and I really still don't even know what it is. But I've been dreaming this ever since I was a kid, and I was young, and I got in trouble. I've been in every path that you can go, but I got back on the path, and I said, you know, the only way to go is up, because I believe that if you want anything accomplished, you're going to have to work for it. Nothing was given to you. Nothing was laid out for me in my life. I had to work hard for it, and it feels that much better when you achieve something, you know, because you go get it and you work for it, and there's nothing like feeling a little bit of success. And so for me, in my life, is don't be content. You know, and I think the same thing for you is in your life, you're going to have so many things, when college is over, even if you're still going to school, you've got all these choices, you've got all these obstacles in your way right now, but you can't be content. You've got to keep on going. So that's the path I took, you know, in this professional box. It's one avenue I'm going to go at. And then after this, I've got to raise 3 boys and a little baby girl, and that's my path that I want to take, and I'm proud of doing it. I'm proud that I'm here right now, and I'm humbled to be in front of, you know, a bunch of elite college students as yourself and elite Native Americans. So anything in life, you know, keep on working, keep on believing, keep on dreaming, and anything's possible, because I'm proof that you can come from a small town, Richard Spur, and keep on coming. But I'm not content, because I haven't even put my foot in the worldwide world of boxing. You know, I've just made a small little rift in the water right now. So I look at, you know, this world that I got to go into as a fighter. There's a long road ahead of me. So I've got to keep on fighting, never be content, and keep on climbing. So and actually next Saturday I got me a fight in Newkirk, Oklahoma. And I've been training, I've been grinding, and come February 25th, that's when I'm going to fight again. And my last fight was in July, and it was in Lawton, Oklahoma, and I fought for the WBC title. And during the first round of that fight, you know, it was just a normal fight for me, and I threw a punch with my right hand, and I tore my bicep. And it's like 20 seconds in the fight, and I said, man, you know, this is a bad time to have an injury. And I knew something was wrong with me, and I tried to throw it again, and I felt pain. I said, man, this, you know, all these doubts came over my mind. You know, what should I do? Should I quit the fight? Maybe they'll call it a no contest, or should I keep on fighting? But I only got one arm, so I made it through the round. I went back to my corner, and I told my trainer, I said, something's wrong with my arm. I can't punch it. You know, every time I would try to throw it, just pain. And I never felt that before in my life. And he looked at my arm and he said, you know, just you know, he knows I train, he knows I work hard. He said, just jab it, be fast, keep on moving, stick and move. He said, we got 9 rounds of it, we're just going to stick and move. And he said, you know, you can do it, you're quicker than him. All right, that's what I'm going to do. So second round, I said, all right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw my right hand, but, you know, no force on it, and I'm just going to be fast. And I started doing that. I said, I'm going to just do 9 rounds of this. And then luckily when I got in close, and I did a double left hook, and my left hook hit him right on the chin, and he went down, and I was like, oh, please don't get up. I had one arm, I couldn't throw my right, I was coming out with one arm. Luckily, I knocked him out, and I got the belt, and that by far was the greatest victory for me, because I was hurt, and I had all these things going in my mind, like, what am I going to do? You know, I couldn't quit. A lot of fighters, you see them, they quit. They no more their arm hurts, so they quit. And I've seen fighters with broken jaws fighting, and their bones are sticking, and they keep on fighting. So I knew this too when this happened to me. I said, well, they do it with broken jaws, people do it with broken hands, broken wrists, and broken noses. I said, I'm going to do it with one arm, and I was just going to be fast and, you know, win. It didn't matter how I was going to do it, but I was going to win. And it was good. It opened up a lot of doors for me, but at the same time I was hurt. I had to have surgery. I've been out 5 months. I had to let my bicep grow back to the bone, and it's been a long road back. And then not be able to exercise like I was before. I can't do all the same things that I was doing before. And you know what? Me being an Indian person, I like to eat. So I put on 30 pounds right off the bat. So, and that's been a long road back and getting back in shape. And you know, I have a lot of it's easy, you know, when you're married, you've got kids, and you've got a family and a job. You know, I can't sit there and eat the same foods they eat, or or like my friends or my work colleagues, when they go, I haven't ate a buffet in a long time, you know, I think about buffets. I remember those days. But, you know, I'm living this life as a fighter, and one of the things I fight for me is my diet. And, you know, the way we're taught is to eat big portions, you know, eat till you're full, don't waste no food, and these are all the things that, you know, I was told that now I'm battling. You know, every day I know what I'm going to eat, and every single time. And it's my choice, do I eat fast or do I eat slow? Those are the two choices I got. So, I mean, but it's what I got to do right now. It's what I got to do to make weight, and it's a sacrifice that I got to do to contend with these other fighters out there because they're doing it. And the conditioning, that's another part of it, you know. Luckily for me, I work for my tribe, and we've got a Comanche Nation Fitness Center, and I have other Indian boys in there, and they're not all Comanches. There's Powells, there's Apaches, there's different tribes in there, and they do the same condition I do, but my goal every time is I've got to beat all of them. And a lot of the young guys are in good shape, so, man, it's running fast, and sometimes when I was coming back from my comeback, they would beat me all the time. I was like, man, I was feeling old and you know, heavy, and you know, it took some time, but now everything's falling into place, and now this fight that I got coming up in Newkirk is going to be a good thing, and everything, my weight came down, my conditioning's back, my fighting's back, I got everything back. My arm is still it's 85% right now, but it's just something I got to live with right now. When it gets 100%, it'll be 100%, and then I'll be ready to fight. But it's just another obstacle I had in my past, and it's just something I got to deal with, and I'm going to deal with it, and I'm still going to win. I'm still going to get on HBO because that's what I believe in. You know, I have this dream, and I'm going to keep on going. And like I say, when you see here's the name Comanche Boy on HBO, then you know that's when I'm getting there. So I'm going to keep on fighting, just like you college kids, you're going to keep on learning, and you're going to keep on fighting, because you got to represent, this is our race. You know, the same thing as me as being a fighter. This is my race, our race. It's not about George Tabernacle. It's about, you know, Indian people. And that's why I take this stance, and I take this position with pride. And when I walk around, you know, I got to carry myself high, because once you leave Oklahoma or where there's no Indian people, what they see of you is what they're going to think of Indian people, because everyone asks that question. Oh, y'all still living in TP? Like I'm Comanche. They say, oh, y'all a horse rider. I don't even know how to ride a horse. You know? Riding bikes and four-wheelers, you know. But, you know, the times have changed, but, you know, what I can do for them now is I'm a fighter, and I'm a provider, and I'm going to keep making my people shine, and that's what I want to do for my race, is to be do it with the most pride and most dignity, and be humble about it, and that's what I'm doing today. And I applaud you all for sticking in there, because it's tough, you know, the college road, especially at your age, you know, there's so many things out there, so many choices, and, you know, you can go any route you want to right now, but it's on you, but you got to stay with it, and before you know it, you're going to have your 100+ hours, and the end's going to be near. And keep on going. You keep on fighting until you get that degree. And I thank you all for letting me be your speaker. It's my honor, and I'm truly humbled to be here. Robin, thank you. Appreciate it.